Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
I'm KC.
And I'm Tyler.
And you're listening to
The Elephant Podcast.
Y'all hear that? That's my pet turkey I keep in the house with me at all times.
Old Perky, huh?
That way I know what turkeys sound like. I don't even have to call. I don't have to think about it. I just know what they sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You don't even speak English anymore very
That's right.
well.
Just speaking turkey these days.
Your ESL.
That's on a special new call that y'all can't know about. Both of those are. Those are on Phelps calls.
I like that one.
The Meteor Podcast, or the Element Podcast, excuse me. I'm reading, yeah, whoa. I'm reading Meteor on these calls here. Brought to you by First Light Gear. But we killed some turkeys using some Phelps calls. So, congrats, Jason Phelps. That's your one for the year, sir. Anyways, you heard us last week talk to Tyler and Jesse at Turkey Camp. It was pretty cool. That's Tyler V.
Yeah.
I got Tyler J.
TV.
Right here. TV and TJ. It actually got pretty confusing at times whenever I was in the back seat of the truck saying, hey, Tyler, da-da-da, and he'd be like, oh, yeah. Sorry for that, Tyler. V.
Right.
Tyler V, not Tyler J. No sorrows for you. But
Well, I'm a man of constant
anyways,
sorrow.
that was an awesome little camp that we got to eat some delicious things, laugh a lot. Tyler V over there, Archery Country, is a cool dude. Stop in if you're in the hill country. That's the place to go. Buy Jesse's turkey book if you haven't. If you're into cooking turkeys and seeing turkey pictures and stuff like that, we have exclusive signed copies.
Oh, my
because
goodness.
we're friends like that.
You know, when you say delicious, you know what it reminds me of a lot of times?
My speech impediment? Delicious.
It reminds me of the blackberry glaze elk steak video.
Oh, yeah?
Those are some
Is
good
that
days.
still on the channel?
Yeah.
It is?
As far as I know.
That's
I
good,
hadn't
man.
checked on it in a while.
Then when I overcooked some elk steak and just had us a good time.
We were in the RV, man. Those were the days.
Man, you can, reduce some blackberries and some honey and some balsamic vinegar and make some pretty good stuff.
A little garlic, a little onion,
Balsamic vinegar is hard to beat.
a little jalapeno.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Might have to do that again.
Oh, for sure.
I'm going to really hammer down the blackberry harvest this year.
I know where
I
some
want
are.
cans and cans and cans of blackberry jelly.
I know where they are.
Good. I know where they are, too. But I think the Mennonites protect them. I don't think it's on their road. I don't think they want you
I
to mess
know
with
where they
theirs.
just don't. Nobody even messes with them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good.
Can't be saying though on here.
It ain't on a county road.
got
It's off the road.
It's off the main road. Yep.
That and plums too. I wanna hammer down on both of those.
I don't know where. I can't. They don't. I don't. I got a couple of plum trees back here, and they never have plums on them. I think it's because they get eaten before, like as soon as they arrive.
The deer hammer the plums at my place. I've got a lot of plums, and the deer hammer.
Are they growing already?
I haven't checked. They bloomed really good this year and didn't get a frost, so I should have a pretty good crop.
Is there?
Well-
Can we buy some bird net and protect them things?
I think it's big animals, possums and deer and hogs and
But
stuff.
if you put that netting around it,
to protect
tie
the
it to
bottom,
the trunk, like coolly encompassed.
yeah,
I wonder if
could
that work.
Maybe. There's another big plum patch. In an area that we know pretty well, around the lake over there.
Plum thicket.
But we're not talking about making any type of food today. We're actually going to talk about some hunting, man.
Well, kind of making food.
Yeah,
know?
that's true. That's a good point, Tyler. Man, you're such a meat eater, dude. You just, the whole time you're out there harvesting.
Oh, cowboy, take me away.
Tyler and I'm going to bury the lead here, as they say. I think
right.
that's how it works. We killed us some turkeys this past
Oh,
week.
my goodness.
I know, dude. But listen, the story is worth sticking around because, every seasoned, respectable turkey hunter isn't there for the kill. They're there for the story.
That's right. And turkeys are easy to kill, so.
We are creating an 11th Legion over here, guys. Whoa.
Oh, my goodness.
There's a bridge troll.
You want to talk about feeling like I just got attacked by a turkey, actually.
Tyler's dog is attacking the house trying to get inside.
Yeah.
But anyways, we had some good turkey hunting with those guys down there. And we thought that last week we gave you the camp experience, and this week we're going to give you the hunting experience and talk about some things, some stuff we learned, some stuff we tried that worked out pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead and lead this off by saying that I like turkey hunting a lot more than I used to.
Oh, somewhere Michael stole.
He is. He's freaking out right now.
His redheaded
in Iowa, actually.
Yeah.
He's up there turkey hunting right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, turkey hunting is fun. When you start killing turkeys, like I used to think it was just okay. It's because I was hunting bad turkey hunting places.
Yeah.
But there's a video on the Element channel, circa about 2018, called Hooked. And you should go watch it if you haven't. It's actually one of our better productions at that point.
Yeah.
In the Element.
I
world.
still like watching it, man.
It's cool,
It's
man.
a nice. It's just got a good pace.
It also has one of the best slow mo shots you'll ever see. It's sick. So go watch that if you haven't. But that's kind of where some of my traditional turkey hunting stuff started.
10th Legion type
ever since
stuff.
then, we kind of have gone back and forth. I think 2020 we had us a pretty good year where we got to go. No, it was 21, wasn't it? We went to Missouri and Iowa and Tennessee.
22.
Was it?
I think so.
Spring of 22. Sure
yeah.
enough, it was. So Tyler has a video where he killed a Missouri bird with our friends from Land and Legacy. That's pretty awesome.
Biggest bird ever killed.
Dude, that bird was a monster.
Yeah. Mondo.
And there's a bunch before that y'all didn't get to see that happened that was insane, too. Chainsaw Chad, just running all around the mountains of Missouri.
Yeah.
But it's good. But this hunt, we're hunting the Texas Hill Country for Rio Grande turkeys, and it just so happens to be the most blue-bonnetedest week of the year.
Yep.
It was
on the most blue-bonnetest
awesome.
place in the
was
world.
Sick, man.
I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if I talked about it when Tyler and Jesse were on the podcast, but it was you almost couldn't not step on bluebonnets. They were everywhere on the whole property.
I grew up feeling like you weren't supposed to pick a bluebonnet or step on it or you get in trouble. Like you get a ticket or something.
Yep.
And now they're like
that's
driving F-250s over the
I was still, today years old when I didn't know for sure if I, if there's against the law to pick a bluebonnet.
Yeah.
So, can't say that there might not have been one picked in that time, but that was Eric's fault. So
yeah, that was a bluebonnet Pop-Tart.
It was weird, dude. It was like a pastry.
Did we take a picture of that?
I got video of it.
We should put a still of that on the story at some point in time.
Yeah.
He got a weird. It looked like it's essentially a cat-faced bluebonnet.
Probably the biggest one ever.
Yeah.
Probably world record.
World record. That's what we're putting in the video.
Yeah.
World record, Rio Grande turkey hunting.
Please watch my video.
There'll be a mouse in there somewhere.
Listen, there's a balance there, y'all. I'm not making fun of y'all.
You mean a balance?
I'm not making fun of us. Yep.
But
That's what I mean.
We got to hunt on a really awesome property private land, which is the way all turkey hunting should be done. And,
Well, that ain't the way Michael's doing it right now.
no, and you know
He's
what?
hanging out with the hunting public turkeys.
That's right. And they're 2 days into the hunt and haven't killed anything yet that we've heard.
Yeah, well.
And I would imagine as soon as they kill something, we'll hear about it. So
2 days into your hunt, you had one tagged.
yeah, that's right. First morning.
Was it?
Yeah.
Golly, dude.
Yeah, so we showed up with enough time to kind of get out in the afternoon, stomp around. One of the good things about turkeys is that stomping doesn't hurt near as bad as deer hunting stomping. So you can, like, explore, and it's not like they smell you and leave the area, right? So we got out and did a little stomping and tried to see if we couldn't shot gobble some birds, and it didn't really work until, like, around about 5:30. It's like the turkeys start moving around. And I think this is a thing we've seen before, but, like, they start making ways to get back to their roost, and then they start talking. So we, like, try to work some birds or something that first evening. And I personally am learning how to turkey call still. Like, I've always been able to kind of make a noise in my mouth. In the past year and a half, I've tried to learn how to use a diaphragm better, because I can elk call, in my opinion, pretty good with a diaphragm, but turkey is just a lot different, even though it's the same looking thing. SLT.
That's all. I didn't want to distract.
But so I feel like that first evening my calls weren't that great, and that could have been what? Wow.
This is funny that we were both thinking that. Dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Part of why we didn't kill, but we also just didn't really understand the dynamic of the property. And then that night we did some hooting. And
hollered.
Tyler and I both got our hoot figured out pretty good. Make a pretty good hoot. But we hooted up some gobblers.
I just turn on Gangnam Style.
It works. But this is like a thing that you and I are kind of figuring out. This is like the way we like to hunt them, I think. Roost a bird.
Yeah.
You feel way better.
I want to shoot that thing as soon as it gets dirt on its,
That's right.
on its feet in the morning.
Right. Yeah. There's an episode on Meat Eater, if you haven't seen it, where Tyler does just that. He gives the turkey about, 3 seconds of ground time.
I was like, its head's doing something weird,
That's
so we're
right.
just going to go ahead and shoot it.
Shoot first, ask questions later. And it was effective, and I'm glad you did. But we roosted some birds that night, made us a little triangulation plan, tried to do the New Mexico 2.0 on them, where we
Surround sound.
surround them. They kind of have a way out, but they're probably coming by us, one of the two of us. We split up. I decided to put out a decoy set. Did you put out decoys that morning?
Yeah, we put out one, maybe two. We put them out in the road because we had seen so many tracks on that road that I was like, they're gonna fly down, hit the road. Actually, there was a little hump in the road, and if I'd have gone over it, I was worried that I'd bump him off the roost. So I stayed on the other side of it and actually backed off like 30 or 40 yards, so he didn't just come over the top, and it was right there. And put a couple of decoys maybe there, or maybe one decoy there, and we got up on these rocks. We were pretty good spot, man.
Y'all were up on the ridge, kind of like where we had set up that night before?
Yeah.
But
like in rocks, so it looked like, we were hidden because of those rocks, I felt like. And we were waiting on them to fly down, and the first bird that flew down was a gob. I don't know how big, but I could tell it was a gob. Flew
he's
down
by himself, too.
By himself.
Which probably means a mature gobbler from what we saw.
And he flew probably down like 100 yards from us, landed pretty much in the road, and then he could go west to come to us or east and go towards like goat fencing. So I was kind of like, I know that they go east, but I was thinking, kind of going to be squeezed up against the trees to get around that goat fencing. Well, he went east. So.
Some I would say squoze.
Squozed. He would have been squozed for sure. But that was kind of the extent of the first part of our morning.
We're kind of hunting in a spot. The hill country of Texas is defined by terrain and water. So you'll have these, you might call them ridges or hills. They're called hills for the hill country. It looks kind of like that foothills type stuff that you see maybe in the Rockies. But there'll be creeks that run in between all these hills. And usually they're fairly straight, but there's this spot right here that's about half mile long that the creek does 2 squiggles, and that's where all the turkeys were roosting in those squiggles because they could fly down and kind of be down in the creek bottom in some cover and then kind of emerge where they wanted to up onto the side hills. And so instead of setting up, you went to that side, I went to the other side of the creek. And where I was, it was kind of more like rolling, like kind of prairie, grassland type stuff with a couple oak mottes and a little cedar here and there or whatever. And so we just kind of set up as close as we could get to the roosted gobblers without feeling like we were too much into it. I think we're probably 120, 150 from the roosted birds. And I think that's a good place to be. I mean, I know when you got a bird roosted, you can get real close, but you run the risk of getting seen, of course, and then being heard, which I think Michael and Eric dealt with last year. And there's like this weird thing where if you put decoys out and those turkeys, it's like real early, and they see those decoys down there, and they're like, why are those turkeys down there? They don't think that's smart, but turkeys, you know, I'm learning things about them. They're not very smart, but like they just process stuff pretty well.
Yeah, they have like a really good instincts.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, the instinct
it just takes
is just
one
like,
thing.
If it's danger at all, go the other way.
Yeah, it just takes one little thing to like, I mean, just mess them off of their pattern, just the slightest bit. And their instinct, like you said, is just, they don't really get over their instinct. It's not like a deer might talk itself into like, oh, well, that's not actually danger. Calm down, go back to doing what we're doing.
Maybe if it's the rut, he's like, oh, I'm fired up. I don't care if I smell that guy.
Yeah. Turkeys, I feel like don't do that like that, man. They just like, if you get caught in the slightest.
They can go from strut to tall redhead real quick, you know, and that ain't no good. But thankfully, we set up in a really good spot. I put out the Jake, like half strut looking decoy, and Michael loves this, of course, but we have a lay down hen, and you can put the Jake on the back of the lay down hen and give a very like anatomically correct positioning of a breeding Jake on a hen. And turkeys, you know, their whole thing is don't let the other ones breed. You don't ever think about or see deer like, you know, they're working it all out before the breeding happens.
Yeah, usually.
Right?
Yeah, it's like, it's not really don't let them breed. It's like prove that I can breed.
Yeah, and prove that I deserve that doe, and then we're going to go off over here.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hardly ever like a copulation fight situation. But turkeys, it seems to be a thing.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see that happen, essentially. So I
In
put
fact,
the decoys out.
We watched an Oklahoma hunt of mine from years and years ago where I shot a gob, and when he started flopping around, they got flogged.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's the thing, is like on any kind of weird movement that might simulate some sort of like breeding, they're
gonna kill you.
They're like, we're gonna
Flogging
get you.
means they like take their spurs, their feet, and karate chop them pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see that happen. I'd never really seen it, so I was like, I want to use that decoy setup. And we called in a hen right off the roost, and she loved us. And she came in, and here's the thing, guys. I'm going to try to do this on air, but I've been around hens really. I've been setting my decoys up really close to myself because I like the close encounter aspect of stuff. So I've been around some hens really close a couple times already this year, and they do this when they get real close to a decoy and they're real quiet. It's like, they just do that little talking thing all the time. And I think that's like a turkey noise. And what's weird is that hen was up there doing that next to that decoy set, and a gobbler, like 100 yards away, shot gobbled off of it. I'm pretty sure, at least. Like, she did that, one of those, and he went, and it's like, man, he heard that. And it's like, dogs attacking the house again. And it's like pretty quiet. So I think that some of those little, we used to make fun of Mitchell Johnson for, like, you know, Patrick would be like, oh, he's just showing off, you know, and it's like, well, yeah, that is true. He's showing off. But, you know, they do respond to those little noises. So I think I'm going to start taking a slate with me to do that kind of stuff. It'd be pretty handy, too, that you can be like, well, you know, a diaphragm's nice, right? Because you can do it hands-free, but you can take that slate and just set it right there on your leg and kind of make some noises and not move too much.
It's cool.
Anyways, that hen helped us, I think. And then we heard a group of gobs down in the bottom that were answering me but not moving, and they did it. And I gave them the silent treatment. I was looking at my watch, my phone, and like I would make myself wait 5 minutes. I hate it so much because elk, it seems like the more you talk, the better. It's probably not the case. But turkeys they can go with longer periods of silence. I think because they don't have as many wheels turning, so they just kind of get going one direction. And, as long as they aren't going away from you, they're still thinking about you pretty much. But finally, after probably about 15 minutes of messing with those birds, I heard them kind of move west about 30 yards. Like, oh, they're coming. They're figuring out a way to get across this creek and come to me. And sure enough, I could hear like a drum. And I kind of glanced over to my right, and I saw just a big old blue and red head. And I was like, oh, here we go. Ends up there's 3 super jakes, which is something Jesse talked about. It's a jake. He has like some jake tail feathers, but he has a pretty full fan, and he has a 5.5-inch beard. So not like a little 3-inch beard, tiny jake. Fairly decently sized bird, too. And he had they're not developed spurs, but they stick out a little bit. They're not like just little bumps, you know? So it's like maybe they hatched early or something. I don't know. But they're pretty big birds. And they came in and did the thing. Came in and gave the decoy, like they pecked on him, and then they whacked him. They gave him the flog, and this is all happening 8 yards from us. It was awesome.
I bet, dude.
And
did y'all get any footage?
A little bit of footage. You might be seeing that somewhere on the Meat Eater YouTube channel sometime. It might be a year, actually, guys. So I'm not afraid to just tell you what happened because we saw what happened. But
we did. We always do, man.
Yeah, we always do.
We don't even have to say it anymore.
Eric was hunting with me, and he actually laid it down on that deal. And we communicated well. After they flogged the decoy, it kind of fell over, and they kind of skirted out a little bit, and I ended up shooting that bird at 18 yards. Just smoked him dead.
What kind of choke were you using?
I was using an Academy special.
Yeah?
I don't know for sure what it is. It might be a Carlson. It might be something else. I don't think it's not a Pattern Master, but it's an extra full that I bought when I worked at Academy in 2007, and I've killed a lot of things with that choke. Wait, is that what I was using? Yeah, that is the gun. I just want to make sure. I got a couple shotguns. You do the same thing. You got to make sure.
Well, I don't have a shotgun currently that will shoot a shell.
Well, I shot
consistently.
I shot threes. I shot that turkey with 3.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I've shot both my turkeys with 3s.
I shot the Osceola with a 3.
I'm about to buy some 3.5-inch TSS though for some of our other adventures.
I got one.
I need a couple. I think you can buy them in like packs of 6 or something, right? Like you don't have to buy a big old batch of them if you can find them. I remember last year I was having a hard time finding them. Which where we live, it's hard to find that kind of stuff. You only have like one hardware store in town, and then you can go to Academy like 45 minutes away. But anyways, yeah. So smoked him. It was in the blue bonnets. It was awesome. Got the whole experience, and then it was just fun. I know. Elephant in the room. It's a jake, right? And like it's not a thing that a lot of people will shoot. Here in Texas, there's a couple things going on. First off, the landowner is like, yeah, shoot a jake if you want to, because we are trying to eat some turkey meat while we're there, actually. Jesse's going to make some turkeys for us. So, and they came in, flogged the decoy, did the thing I wanted them to do. It was awesome. I haven't killed a ton of turkeys, so I'm more than happy to. That was the first turkey that I have, tricked with my calling. You and I, when we did hooked and stuff, we called it some turkeys, but I think those were just kind of unpressured turkeys that saw the decoy, heard a little calling, and kind of came over. But these birds were hung up, and I called them across a creek, not water in the creek, but it's like a dry creek, pretty much. But I tricked them. They came in and did the thing, and I was stoked about it, And I will say this, the jake is. The body's smaller on those things. That breast was 2/3 the size of the Osceola breast that we killed. So, it's a thing for sure as far as, if you're trying to shoot a turkey with the most meat, gobbler's the way to go.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Jake this year. I don't know, but I'd like to shoot more gobblers, you know, but I ain't afraid to shoot a Jake.
Little meat's better than no meat.
I guarantee dadgum to you. So from there, Tyler, what all happened?
Well, you and me and a couple camera guys went to walking that afternoon, and we walked like 8 miles. I mean, seriously, I think it was 7.7 miles or something is what we walked.
That's good for us, though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the obvious, but we got some mountainous turkeys to hunt, and getting some legs underneath is a good thing.
Well, and we walked up a mountain, and we didn't have a whole lot going on. We actually this place is high fenced, and
high fenced turkeys, baby.
And these turkeys can't get out. You know,
it actually is a problem.
It is a problem.
I don't mean to talk too much.
Yeah, no,
but why is it a problem?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. For one, you're probably not, whatever's on that property that day is probably, that's what you got. So like if you hear birds across the property line, it's not that they won't ever be on that property, because they're gonna fly up and roost along that creek system, maybe close to that fence, and fly over the next day. But I don't think once they're on the ground, they don't want to fly much until the evening. So most days they're just gonna go away from that fence
unless they get bird flu.
Unless they get bird flu, then the birds will fly.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it makes it kind of complicated. And so like when you go to, I guess my point is, when we went in there that afternoon, we didn't realize where the fence was exactly, because this property on Onyx is split up differently a little bit than what it's actually split up by fences, because there's different portions that are hunted by different folks. So we get in the spot, we're like, oh yeah, we got all this room to the south to go, and then we realize, no, we don't actually have that, because we got all the way back to the back corner of this thing, and it was high fence. So we're like, okay, well, I guess we got to work a different direction. So we work up a different direction, get up on top of this like massive hill where you can see like big lakes and stuff for miles and miles and miles. And as we're coming up on this hill, we bust a gob, and he runs up over the very top of the hill. This is a big hill. And so we kind of chill for a second. We're trying to decide what should we do. So we kind of loop around to the left and make it a couple hundred yards through the timber. And we're kind of coming out on the edge, and we look out, and I see something red, and I stop. And at probably 150 plus, like pretty far out there, there's a red head. And I put my binos up, and there's several turkeys. So for the longest time, you and I thought there was like 4 birds, or maybe 5. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I just feel like there might be more around. We couldn't quite see them. They're milling in and out. And
we thought there
weird.
were some hens in the mix, too.
Yeah. And so we're just like, they're just milling around, but we never saw more than 5 at the same time, and I couldn't see back to the right because of a saddle they were in. Well, all of a sudden, you kind of threw out this kind of funny idea, like, oh, we should fan them, see what they do or whatever.
I'd taken the fan from that Jake I'd shot that morning. I'd never done this before. And if you're a turkey hunting purist, you may or may not like fans. I'd never done it. It's a pretty fun thing to do.
At this point, you can fast forward about 5 minutes.
That's
Maybe
right.
the rest of the podcast.
That's right. Since we're talking about that, let's just throw the caveats out there. It probably, on public land, isn't the safest thing to do.
Sure.
You're looking like something that wants to be shot. But so goes about near any decoying or anything like that. Also, it would appear that turkeys get really dumb when there's a fan. So, like, I get that it is not as woo-woo as calling one in with a wing bone and a, whatever.
There's different levels of all kinds of stuff,
right.
guys.
But for guys that don't get to turkey hunting a lot, it's pretty fun to do.
I had a blast doing this. So you had thrown that out there as kind of a funny little thing or whatever, and it sounded to me like you almost weren't too serious about it, and it kind of hit me, and I was like, no, we need to try that. That'd be cool, So
I think we're a little bit worried about like spooking those birds and blowing out the country or something like that, because I don't really know to what extent you can mess up some turkeys.
Right. And, at times seemed like a bunch of them, and we didn't know where too many were. And so I think you, like, get the fan out, hit a call, and then, flash the fan. And I'm standing, like, 10 yards behind you. I'm like, just going to see what happens, as they say, you know what I mean? And that's why I didn't get up on you, because I wasn't serious about it. If I was serious, I wouldn't have said, we'll see what happens. But so I'm standing there, and you flagged them suckers, and all of a sudden they're coming like on a line.
Oh, they like did the whole like, let me walk up to the edge of this thing and like pop my head around a little bit, and then everybody else gets excited because those couple are getting excited, and it is mob mentality.
Yeah, and I was standing behind you. Another reason I was standing behind you is because I was downhill, so I didn't want to mess things up.
And who was standing behind us?
Camera guys.
Sasquatch 1 and 2.
Yeah, two camera guys standing in the wide open.
Yeah.
And
standing up.
All of a sudden, you're like, they're coming. And I'm like, oh, no. So I was like, are there any gobs? You're like, I don't know, but there's a bunch of them. And so I, like, start crawling up there. Well, my knee's messed up. So I'm, like, crawling all weird. I finally get up to you, and these things are, like, getting close. And I see them, and I think you had taken the flag down for a second. I was like, get that flag up. You flag them, and, dude, that was like, they just took off running.
Yeah, there was one that was kicking up dust. He got left behind for some reason. He's running down this 2-track. And, I mean, he's going 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up.
Dude, and I was like, so I'm loading my shotgun, trying not to be too loud. These things are running at us. And you're like, I was like, do any of them have beards? Any gobs in there or whatever? And you're like, I don't know. I can't tell yet. And they're getting closer, and you go, Jake. You said it 9 times. And I was like, and then you finally was like, I don't think any of them have beards, man. And they came to like 30, and you could see, this is all on video, and they finally see our camera guys standing behind us and get kind of weird. But 9 Jakes came in and checked us out at 30 yards, and it was a cool feeling being behind that fan.
Yeah.
Like, you felt like, I don't know, there's just this mystique of, like, I don't know what's fixing to happen. Like, I might get spurred here, And it's kind of fun to think, like, okay, what am I going to do if it gets to, like, 5 yards? Am I going to put the fan down and go boo? Or what? Like, what am I going to do,
Like me when I rattle in deer too close, like, hey.
yeah. I don't know what to do, but go away.
Hey, I'm here. Yeah,
So-
Jake Turkey ain't got too much for spurs, but every turkey is born with some real nice claws in the front.
Yeah, and they also have really hard legs.
Guarantee,
I don't
man.
want to be papped with a stick on top of the head.
My turkey had their balls of their feet are hard. Like, the whole thing is just like it's like a lacquered piece of wood or something, like it is hard. And so that turkey I shot had a cactus needle like buried up. It wasn't just like any like floating around, like it was like a good 3/16 of an inch up in there, and I was like, man, that's terrible.
Yeah.
He got no way to get that out of there either.
They live a tough life, man.
I guarantee you. That's why they only live like 3 years. Because
Yeah.
It's just like, well, what's the use?
Yeah. But that happened that evening, got kind of quiet after that. We walked another couple thousand miles, it felt like, and I was real tired. And
Never heard another gobble the whole night. Hooted like crazy.
Nope. From the top of that hill, we could see Jesse and Greg from like a billion yards, and it was a nice evening though. And we make it back. We eat a little fish. Our buddy Tyler cooked for us, and Jesse made some chili. And then the next morning, we didn't have any roosted birds or anything. Well, a couple of Tyler's friends had been there and said they had heard some that they thought were roosted back where we were that first morning you killed. So we decided to go in there and check it out. And that next morning, and I was like, this could be good, right? We step out of the truck, and immediately we're hearing gobbles.
Well, yeah.
And it's just like,
we're running a little bit behind. We got talking.
We were talking. But, we're hearing gobbles. And so I was like, all right, this is awesome. So we just take off. And we go down I'm not going to make this a long story, but we hunted next to that goat fence. Mm-hmm. And it was just really narrow little spot next to the creek. I just didn't love it, but it was like kind of late, so we sat up there. Well,
it's a conservative play.
Yeah. All the birds fly down and kind of work their way away from us to the west. So we kind of make a pretty aggressive move pretty early, and we're like, let's just, you think we should go? Yeah, let's go. So we take off, and we're headed west. We kind of get behind what sounds like two different gobs that are heading west, and we're kind of chasing them. I should know better, but I didn't, and I was beating myself up for a while about this, but it played out all right. So we're chasing them. We get them to gobble, and then they're still just as far or farther away. So we move up another 100, 150 yards, do it again. They gobble just about as far away as they were last time. They're obviously moving west. So we do this a couple of times. And then one time, these are like these little kind of same areas that Casey's talking about. Lots of bluebonnets, open field stuff, but then there's like these oak mottes and random mesquites and cedars kind of broken up in all this. It's actually really good hunting for turkeys, like good country because it's open. They can see, but they also can't see you from 200 yards, And we go up behind, or we go up.
There was one giant oak tree that was actually problematic.
Yes, and it had brush growing around underneath it kind of and stuff. Big, almost like an oak mott is what it ended up being like. And, it's probably 30 yards from end to end around this piece of brush. We get behind it, and we hit we make a call, and he hits, and we're like, oh, man, he's closer. And I'm thinking he's coming back, but I don't know for sure. Maybe he just turned around and faced us. So we're like, all right, let's give it like 45 seconds, and we'll hit him again. So we wait, hit him. This dude is in our laps, like, And so we basically like sit down, and me and Michael go up to the other side. Like, he's pretty much 50-50. You choose this side or that side. He's going to come one side of this thing or the other, but he's coming. So we go up probably like 7 yards maybe. And by the time I'm getting close to this cover, I'm bent over and trying to like make a dive towards this cover and get a shot down this lane and down the edge of the oak thicket there. And I see him, and he's 30 yards. And I don't think he saw me, but Michael was still walking, and I thought he would see me bend down, and he didn't. So I had to like turn around and tell him, get down, or whatever. And I was, told you he's here, or whatever. And I'm just like freaking out, And so I had dropped down. I just am sitting there waiting. We wait for like 2 minutes maybe, and he never shows. So he spooked. Well, then we go back over towards you, and we hear another gobbler coming. And he comes around, and
that bird started out from the west.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And comes up kind of from the west. He's going towards the sun, and he comes out from behind this thicket. I actually see him as I'm moving up to you through this oak thicket.
I think he perceived us over there.
Oh, for sure. I think
But he didn't know what was going on.
No, he thought it was potentially turkeys.
Yeah.
But he didn't know for sure. It was weird. It was that instinct thing that he couldn't get over because he strutted and gobbled out like, and kind of, but at first he kind of walked past.
But also went like kind of pinkish head.
Yeah.
Like he was like, he was worried, but he would strut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he like mostly kind of was on a pretty fast walking pace to the east and got behind stuff.
He ran one time.
Yeah, he was like, he was pretty much gone, and he disappears kind of. Okay, so he's still like able to make him hit, and he's still over there like 100 yards probably. And so we're just sitting there, and long story short, you call him back in. He comes across and comes out into an opening at like 45 yards probably. I mean, I felt confident in making the shot.
Gobbles, and you can see the mist come out of his mouth through the sun flare.
It was awesome, dude. And he's hammering. Well, we're all just sitting out in front of this oak tree, and I'm thinking we look like Humpty Dumptys out here. You know what I mean? And he comes out, and so I told KC, I was like, hey, flag him or whatever, right? So about that time, you can see on Michael's camera, he comes out, perfect view. I should be shooting him, and all of a sudden a huge turkey fan goes in front of the camera, and Michael's far enough back that we couldn't hear him when he says the fan covered me up. You know, it's almost like he could have just said, move the fan, real loud, but he's trying not to spook it, and we couldn't hear him.
Back is to all this going on because you can't really move
Eric's
a lot.
facing us.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get
filming
in front
this turkey.
because I'm trying to get in front of Eric, and I couldn't shoot him at first when the first time he came on because Eric's there, so I had to get in front of him. You're filming,
Eric.
And it was just like, it was a disaster. Well, this bird comes and works across at like 45 across this gap. He's gobbling, he's strutting, works his way down, spends like 5 minutes gobbling and strutting, but never comes in, and kind of works his way away from us. Even though you're calling, he'll gobble, but he won't come. So he kind of dips down in this low thing and stops right there, or disappears. Well, about that time, you're like, one of us, it was me. I was like, there's a bird up the hill or whatever to the east. There's another gob standing there with a red head because we're sitting out in the wide open, and I'm like, we're caught.
It was one of the Jakes, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't remember seeing his beard, but he was really weird
think so.
because he just kind of essentially turned and went away.
But we heard from there, when all this was going on, we heard a bird from afar to the north.
Yeah. So we kind of mess with this bird and then slowly spook him off a little bit faster than the last one, and he disappears, and he's still there. He's got to be 150 yards or so, probably. I mean, he's right there. So we're kind of just sitting there waiting to see, what'll come to fruition in this whole situation, if anything is going to come back to us, and we're all looking kind of right back in that brush to see if we see that bird, like messing around back in there or whatever. And Michael goes, I see one or something like that. And I guess you had seen it about the time he saw it or whatever, or he told you where it was or whatever. And so I'm like sitting there with you, and I'm like, and you're like, Michael sees a bird. And I was like, where? You're like, 30 yards. I was like, oh my goodness.
I'm talking about getting snuck in.
Like, what is going on? I kind of like peek over at your face, and you're looking like behind me. You're like, this is not good, And so we were like, you and me are having conversations about what should happen, and you're like, you got the fan in your hand still. So I'm like, yeah, fan him, I guess. Give us some cover, just so it'll calm down. Well, you pull the fan out, and or maybe you hand it to me or something.
To you.
So I start fanning him because I was able to see him before, I started fanning him, but I knew he was right there. And there's this little hill that drops down to the creek, and he's just past that hill. So start fanning, and he starts walking to us, man, strutting and all. I'm like, no way, dude. So he comes up to almost to the crest of the hill, which he's probably about 20, 25 yards, probably 20. And then he just starts working to the east and never gains or loses any elevation. He's walking on that crest with his head just barely peeking over. He can see our fan, and he's fooled. He knows it's a fan. He thinks it's a turkey, right? And it was interesting. The reason I'm telling you this is because he never committed after he got to where he could hide most of his body, but he could still see. And so he just walks this crest or whatever, goes behind a bush. You're like, this would be a good time to get your gun up. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good time. So I pulled
Let's talk about that for a second. You know how to do wood stuff. You know how to kill stuff. Why did you not do? Because I felt apprehensive about telling you that, but I was like, why is he not getting his gut up?
Oh, I know you don't like being told stuff like that. I don't mind being told stuff like that.
But why? But why hadn't you?
Because I was wanting him to come up and get better footage of it. So
gotcha.
I didn't want to shoot him that quick.
Yeah.
But he goes behind it. When you said that, I was like, sure, sounds good. I pull it up, and I've got my left hand, I've got the fan spread, and then like in my 2 fingers, I've got the stock of the gun. And so I'm looking through the edge of these feathers, basically, like down the gun or whatever. And he comes out from the stuff, and he's still just kind of down the hill, and I'm sure the cameras can't see him that great. I can't see him that great. I can see his head, but he's close. I mean, he's like under 20, I felt like. And he's just going. He continues going to the east or to the west, and eventually, like with that fan, I couldn't see a whole lot of what he was going to be coming into. But I just felt like, man, I don't want to lose this opportunity for him to like walk into the brush and us not get a shot at him.
I think that it's very normal for turkeys like gobblers to get within 20 or 30 yards of the hens, and the hens walk to them.
Yeah, I would assume too.
I don't think they like walk up to the hen decoy very often.
Yeah.
So I think that he was like
that's right.
in that bubble, and he's like, well, she'll come over here.
Well, and I'll go ahead and say the reason I thought that point was important. That point was important was because we had deduced by the end of this hunt that the jakes were beating the toms up.
That first gobbler
was
missing a lot of tail feathers.
He was missing a couple tail feathers. And so anyway, this bird comes up. We think he's a jake because he's kind of being a little bit subordinate acting or whatever. And
I saw his beard and thought it was a jake.
Really?
Yes.
So, but I asked you to make him gobble. Because his neck was kind of low, and barely over the grass.
I bet you were just seeing like the top of his back and his fan, and maybe the top of his head.
Pretty much, yeah. And I didn't like how small the target was, and so I said make him gobble, and I have a bead on him, When you make him gobble, I'm like, there's a lot of neck there, So I just put it right in the middle, boom, right in the mid gobble.
He didn't even get to finish his note.
No, I was mean. I smoked him, and I was using Michael's shotgun because I have 3 shotguns and none of them has a firing pin that'll work. That's what happens when you shoot shotguns a lot, I guess. But and don't clean them a whole lot. But it does have a Carlson's choke tube, which is I think is pretty sweet because I've shot 2 turkeys with it this year and they were both smoked.
Smokers.
And anyway, he goes down, he starts flopping, we're celebrating. And we're like, man, that was awesome. Can't believe
he goes
it.
to kicking blue bonnets in the air. I'm the only one that saw it, but it was awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we decide finally to walk over and check him out. And we walk up, and I look. The first thing I notice is he's got spurs. I'm like, I don't think he's a jake. I turn him over. He's got it like a 8-inch beard,
Yeah.
He's probably a 2-year-old turkey, He's got inch-long spurs. And we were
How many
pumped,
tail
dude.
feathers did he have?
Like legit 4, maybe?
I think 4 main tail feathers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if that's like a coyote got a big grip on him or if he's just been massacred by jakes, but like them gobs were missing some tail feathers and he didn't want to come up there and get flogged by jakes, I think is why he wouldn't come across. I do think it is common what you're saying too. So there may have been some of that played in there, or it may have been fully that or whatever, but
well, it's a lot of stuff coming together to make a turkey do what they do.
Yeah.
And I think I saw that turkey's beard and was like, oh, I wasn't looking through binos or anything. I was like, oh, it's another super jake. But he had like a 2-stage beard. So it was like real thick out to 5 inches, and then half the strands were another 3 inches long.
Yeah, I think those Rios get like that a lot towards the end of their beard because of the rocks and stuff like that. I mean, Greg, y'all, by the time this comes out, y'all have opportunity to see Greg's video. If you haven't, go check it out. He shoots a Mondo. But, you were like, man, I felt like that beard was 12 inches, and he says 10 and a half. And I think that's what a Rio Grande beard gets to pretty much. Just 10 and a half, 11 inches is like max. I think obviously there's different situations, right? Like there's going to be a Shaquille O'Neal of turkeys that's taller than the rest of them. But like most of them, it just drags once it gets to 11 inches and, just kind of drags away, I guess. So, but the thick beard is what is cool to me.
Man. Yeah. Who is it? Shane Simpson posted a picture yesterday of like a paintbrush beard on this turkey. I was like, golly, man. He stacked 2 of them in there and didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
What? Like, it's unbelievable.
That's what I'm going to do, man.
Yeah, it's good.
Let's do AI turkey, you know.
That was, we were talking about it a while ago off air. Like, as far as like snatching victory from the hands of defeat and just cool hunts. That was
Oh yeah.
about as good as a turkey hunt gets.
That was.
morning.
That was our last morning. That was our last hunt. We were gonna go do some cooking with Jesse and film that and be out. So now this is something that you've dragged me into, but we are halfway into a single season Grand Slam.
We gotta kill the hardest bird.
Which one
The
is
next
that?
trip.
Miriam? Yep.
I
Miriam.
think it's
Miriam's?
the hardest bird. Miriam's.
Yeah.
So we got to accomplish that, and that's why I was like, I might shoot another Jake because, dude, any Tom out there is a pretty big deal. I feel like.
You think the Miriam's harder than the Osceola, or it's just the hardest one that's left?
hardest one's left?
I got you.
I don't think the Osceolas are hard. It's just getting the finding a Osceola you can hunt is the hard part. Like there's not many on the public ground, and getting private permission is a pretty big deal. And we got that this time, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And so now we just got to go to a place where maybe the turkeys aren't quite as thick and are pressured. And if we can pull 2 birds out of there, no turkey's easy, right? The easiest one is the Rio, which is the funnest one, by the way.
Yeah.
In case y'all wondering,
the Rio
for
us
is the superior turkey.
It is. I think for the majority of the U.S. though, the Eastern is the easier one.
Probably because they're the most abundant.
Yeah,
right?
and they're closer to them, I guess. So
Yeah.
you got to travel to get to the Rios a little bit for a lot of people.
But we might be pursuing the shot gobble out there. Might be pursuing the single season slam, which you accomplished your slam this year with the Osceola.
Yep.
But you and I now are in the same boat of potentially shooting a single season slam.
Yeah. It's just going to be about shooting those Miriams, and then if we get that done, then we probably will try to find a way to.
Yeah.
Maybe a friend of ours would let us shoot at Eastern somewhere, or hunt at least on their property.
we got some contacts, but we might find us a little something. I don't want to have to do it on public. The truth of the matter, it sounds hard.
It does. I mean, these guys are out there in first seasons right now on some of those Midwestern states struggling because of weather more than anything probably.
Well,
but
Eric and Michael are on a draw tag, right?
Yeah,
and,
something like that.
And still, hadn't killed yet. So we shall see. It's the Eastern bird is supposedly the wariest of them all.
I think that's a bunch of dudes just 10th Legion in it.
You think so?
I think so.
Maybe. I wonder what page that's on. We might have to find one of those at a half-price books or something.
We should. I've been cracking on it. I probably should read it first.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my rule nowadays. Is if I'm going to crack on something hard, I got to try it just to see. And that's why I'm going to hunt deer with crossbows only this year.
There you go. It's a good decision.
Yeah. Thanks,
it's a good decision.
man. But that's my politician answer. I'm going to change my mind later, and no one's going to notice. So
just got to read. You got to pass it to know what's in it. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. Tyler, congratulations on the Rio. I'm glad
man.
I was
You
there
too.
on that. Appreciate it.
Yep.
That was
Thanks for calling them for me.
For sure. It was really cool to walk around without a shotgun and just kind of turkey hunt.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
It's nice.
I'd like to kill like 4 a year and then just do that the rest of the time.
Seems like what Mitchell Johnson does.
Yeah, he does that a lot. And it makes you, I never thought about it, but there are, it's not that Mitchell has any ulterior motives, but there are some like side benefits. If you get to call at 30 turkeys a year, you become a lot better turkey caller.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Whereas especially that year we went with Mitchell, like every turkey we encountered with Mitchell was the only turkey that I saw. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just different. And that's one of the things we struggle with our whole lives, turkey hunting. So we didn't grow up with them. They're not here where we live. So like every turkey hunt is like a learning experience. Whereas like deer, you're learning the whole time, but you get what I'm saying. We see them a lot. Turkey's totally different.
Yep.
This dog's
Well, listen, I'm sorry, y'all, that y'all have had to listen to this dog for the last minute and a half, but we'll go ahead and let y'all get out of here. Appreciate y'all listening. We're going to be doing a lot more turkey hunting and talking the rest of the year, probably a lot of fishing, some talking about that, and then we're going to get into some deer hunting stuff as soon as all the turkey stuff's over, for sure. So I'm already getting kind of juiced about it, but appreciate y'all listening. Remember, this is your element.
Living it.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew, Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.